Hello everyone, I'm Ghost Hunter Joe, and this is a photograph of my mother and father taken around 1959. As I have mentioned in other videos, my mother and father did not marry, and I never met my father, who died in March of 1973 when I was 12 years old and lived in Rockledge, Florida. I have been raised under the belief that my older brothers and sisters' father, who died 3 years before I was born, was my father also. My actual father lived and died in Newark, Ohio. In January of 2023, I started working for the Licking County Sheriff's Office in Newark, Ohio, and I drive past the cemetery where my father is buried every day on my way to and from work. Being the ghost hunter that I am, it was simply a matter of time before I would eventually stop at the cemetery and investigate at my father's grave. If you haven't already, you may wish to view the 3 videos I published last year, Forging a Relationship with My Father, Parts 1, 2, and 3, in which I would like to believe I made contact with him. As the viewer will see in this video, I believe I made contact with my father with my K2 meter and then recently purchased necrophonic spirit box. This is my father's grave, located at the St. Joseph Catholic Cemetery, just north of Newark, Ohio, at nighttime during a quick visit with my friend and fellow ghost hunter, Dustin. We had been ghost hunting at other locations in the area and decided to stop at my father's grave on the way home. Circled in red is my K2 meter. It is an EMF detector. EMF stands for electromagnetic fields. The theory behind EMFs in ghost hunting is that ghosts or spirits are comprised of energy, specifically electrical energy. So if the EMF detector detects EMF and there is no logical explanation for it, it is believed that a ghost may have been detected. I use my K2 meter to communicate with alleged spirits by asking them to touch the meter or to stop touching the meter on command and in response to questions. The K2 meter in this picture is registering a 1, which simply means that it is on. When ghosts come near or touch it, it can go all the way up to 5 lights. The device circled in red on this slide is my iPhone, displaying my then recently purchased necrophonic spirit box. The necrophonic spirit box is a relatively inexpensive app which paranormal investigators may purchase and use in ghost hunting. It is my understanding that it works by using a bank of words and phrases from which ghosts may allegedly choose and thereby communicate with us. The voices we hear coming across the device are not the actual voices of spirits, rather voices that ghosts can choose to say pre-recorded and stored words and phrases. I do not know how the ghosts know how to select these words and phrases, but they seem to have no problem doing so without any instruction or training. In addition to the K2 meter and necrophonic spirit box, Dustin and I were using a laser grid, hoping that we might be able to see my father or other spirits as they crossed in front of it. So let's watch and listen to the following unedited, raw footage we recorded that night. Hello, Dad. This is me, Joe. I brought my friend Dustin. Can you speak to us through the app on the right? The device on the right? Can you speak to us? Can you say hi? How about, can you touch the device on the left and make it light up a couple lights? Can you touch the device on the left and make it light up like 2 or 3 lights? This one over here. Can you touch it and make it light up? Okay, Dustin's gonna put a grid on. Can you cross in front of the grid and maybe we can see you? Can you cross in front of these little lights so we can see you? Are you here? Can you say your name? Can you say my name? Okay, we're going to stop for now. We're going to see if we can make contact with some of our other relatives. If you weren't paying attention, you may have missed it. Shortly after I ask my father to say his name, we can hear someone or something say Bernard, spelled Bernard. This pronunciation is significant because my father and his family pronounced his name Bernard, as opposed to the more common Bernard. Let's take another listen to it, amplified by 10. About a week later, as I drove home to Mansfield after work, I decided to make a quick stop at the cemetery to thank my father for validating his presence for me by saying his name upon request, which I hadn't heard in real time when I was with Dustin. As you will see, this time I asked my father to say my mother's name, Dolores, and to flicker the K2 meter after he said it so I'd know where to listen on the video. Let's watch. Hello? Dad? Bernard Gebhardt? Are you there? Last week when Dustin and I came out here, I asked you to say your name, and I was able to hear it later on. I wanted to let you know I was thankful for that. Can you touch this meter? Thank you. Thank you. Now, I got another request. Can you say my mother's name? Can you say my mother's name? What was my mother's name? Okay, touch this meter after you've said it. Okay, thank you. I'm going to listen to it. Thank you. Okay, you have a good night now, okay? Someone or something made the K2 meter flicker upon request, and then someone or something said my mother's name, Dolores, and immediately flickered the K2 meter as requested. And so there's no question. Let's listen to it amplified by 10. It would seem to me that my father, whose name was Bernard, said Bernard upon request. I also believe that it defies coincidence that we would be at someone named Bernard's grave in the middle of the night and the word Bernard would come across the necrophonic spirit box. In fact, I believe it was an EVP as opposed to the voice coming across the spirit box, which is why it was so faint and had to be amplified. It would also seem that my father's spirit touched the K2 meter upon request and said my mother's name, Dolores, across the spirit box, and then immediately flickered the K2 meter as requested. With respect to the fact that it was a female voice that said Dolores, and my father was obviously a male, might I suggest two possible explanations? Perhaps the only voice saying Dolores available through the Necrophonic app was female, or if it was an EVP, it could have been my Aunt Casey, who is buried just a few feet away, who said it. In any event, this is Ghost Hunter Joe saying goodbye and see you next time.